Well, today we got a delivery and I wasn't expecting anything, so not sure what this is, but we'll get to the unboxing, so
let's get started.
Hey, welcome to the channel. I'm Nick, aka Dad.
And I'm Addie, aka the Monkey.
And like I said in the beginning, we had a box show up. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't get any kind of notifications that we had anything coming, but we're gonna get to the unboxing of this item, and I think I know what it is, but we'll show you at the same time we find out for sure. So let's see what we got here. Okay. This is, whoop, the wind is kind of blowing here. Monk's gonna try to help me out here. This is from Steer Smarts. This is their Yeti XD rear adjustable track bar for the Bronco. Now I believe this just came out. I had a friend of mine reach out to me from Steer Smarts. Knew him from when I worked at the Ford dealership and he worked for Roush. And yeah, I didn't know he worked for them, but yeah, he said, hey, can I send you this? So they sent this to me, and I have never put on a rear track bar. I've actually been thinking about just getting rid of mine altogether and going with something different, but yeah, Steer Smarts, you know, they gave us a little card here on how to follow them on social media. We got a cool sticker, obviously, and then Steer Smarts download instructions. All right, so we've got that as well. So here, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So we've got the track bar here. Wow, this is real, oh man. Now I believe the cool thing about this is this is probably, by what they say, the largest track bar on the market currently. You know, it's forged of like solid steel by what I've read about them. Should show a significant improvement over, you know, buckling that could happen, impact or even fatigue from, you know, just being used a lot. So definitely is something that will be a upgrade over just the OEM track bar, which is just a solid piece, non-adjustable really. And you never know, I've not heard of them failing, but if this is gonna be, you know, significantly more impact resistant and, you know, help with not having to be fatigued like the OEM might, that might be a huge improvement. Now, other things I've noticed is it's got two different colors that this comes in. It's red or black, and they sent me the red one. Now, what I've read too is these things are E-coated and then powder coated, which means the paint should last a long time, should be super durable. And then the bushings at the end, by what I've read too, are actually like Bronco specific. And they're supposed to, you know, give you the best mix of performance and comfort. Because we all know that those track bars in the back, depending on how they're adjusted, you know, that back end can shift around on you pretty easily. We've just had that this morning going over railroad tracks at a pretty good pace, nothing super crazy, but again, if you've ever felt that shimmy you get in the back end when you go over something like that with a Bronco, definitely gives you a little bit of a woo. But yeah, you know, looking at this, they also have stated that this track bar, being adjustable, can also work with the Ultimate Dana 60. So they've already thought about that. If anybody decides to do an upgrade on the axle, this will also fit as well, which is really cool that you don't have to go back and get another track bar. And it's actually able to clearance, you know, the chassis components to eliminate any interference. So they've done their homework on everything that's in the back of a Bronco already. And the cool thing, I think the really cool thing here is that it's fully adjustable while it's on the vehicle. You don't have to take this off and then adjust one end or another. It's got this turnbuckle style thing here in the middle. I hope I got that right, it's turnbuckle. But yeah, you're able to adjust this, and it works on even stock heights or up to 6.5 inch lift, which is super cool. You know, it includes all necessary hardware by what I've read as well. So we'll have everything we need to put on this thing. The only thing it's not compatible with is the Bronco Raptor at this point. So this one will fit 2021 to the current model year of Ford Broncos. But yeah, this will be really cool. We'll have to get this installed here real soon. But we thought we'd jump on here just to kind of show you some of the things that we got in the box. These are also, I think, part of the turnbuckle style system. So you've got right and left threads basically on these end of the arms here, so we'll be able to turn it. Those are really nice, boy. And I can't believe how sturdy this piece. I'm going to go back to this, but this will be what you're basically going to turn, and it will increase or decrease the length depending on the direction you're turning it. So this will be really cool, and be able to do this on the vehicle. Make sure that your rear differential stays centered in the vehicle basically, but the track bar is really the only other thing on it that keeps it connected to the vehicle. So it's an important piece, and this may just make it a little bit easier to adjust for lift height, or maybe even comfort too, by what I've read about these bushings. So we'll get this put on and show you how easy hopefully it is to install this, and then figure out the adjustments. So, as Monk would say,
let's get started.
Well, this kit is so new, they actually had to email me the instructions about it. I've never put on a track bar, and wasn't sure on an adjustable track bar what needed to be done. So they sent me the instructions by email. They should be up here very soon if you are looking at the Yeti XD track bar for the Bronco. And these are really new to the market. I think they've only been out for maybe a week or so. So we're gonna get right into this. The very first thing you wanna do though, is you're gonna wanna get some anti-seize. I've got my big thing of it here, and you want to make sure that all these parts, especially these here, you want to make sure that you're still able to turn it, because obviously underneath this vehicle we're going to get water, we're going to get dirt, we're going to get all kinds of stuff. It might even get submerged because you're going through water, and you want to make sure the threads stay lubricated and that they can move freely. So we're going to douse these things in anti-seize, as well as the bolts that hold on the sleeve here that actually goes for the adjustment piece. So let's get these all lubricated and ready to go for assembly. All right, now that we've got all the anti-seize on these threads, you can start using the sleeve here. Now before you put this on though, you do need to grab these guys out of here, and these are what secure it. Ooh, okay. All right, now that we got our anti-seize on the threads, you need to grab the sleeve that it comes with your Yeti XD, and then you're gonna grab these pieces, which is what clamps down on the ends here once you get it adjusted, keeping it nice and tight. Now you want to put these on first because you won't be able to get them on once you put on the big giant bars. So let me get these threaded in. One is actually righty-tighty. The other one's actually lefty-tighty because it's reverse. Just so you can do it on the Bronco. It'll shorten up one end, make the other one longer, just so you can get it adjusted. But I'll put these together and then we'll get back to the install. Well, one of the nice things about anti-seize is even if you use a little bit, it still gets everywhere. It's all over my gloves and all over the part here from Steer Smarts. The other great thing about Steer Smarts though is that they are based out of Plymouth, Michigan. This is a USA made part. It's tested here, it's made here, it's forged from steel, and it's huge. Obviously, like I was saying at the beginning, this thing is an inch diameter bigger than the factory one. I just can't believe it, and it is stout. This is a heavy piece. With it being made of steel, it's going to help with deflection. It's going to help with any kind of extra stress you might be putting on it versus the OEM. I mean, this thing is really built for the trail and for anybody who's going to be pushing their Bronco to its limits. So I guess now that we have everything on, besides putting in the bolts, we'll get the old track bar off. And I've made some measurements here on where we're off. And we're off pretty good. So let's get to that and then the install. Well, with Steer Smart's Yeti HD Bronco track bar, they say it's the largest on the market. So let's see how it compares to the OEM. Let's measure this guy here. So there's our 0, 4 3/4 of an inch on the mark. So Yeti's is 4 3/4. So let's see how Steer Smart compares to the OEM track bar. There's our 0. Wrap this around here. Yeah, we're right at 3 3/4 of an inch. All right, so here's what I'm doing, and I'm hoping this is correct. I took a measurement from, this is my driver's side frame rail, and then I went over to the back plate of the passenger side rear tire and got 52 1/4. And then I went from this frame rail, which is the passenger side frame rail, and did the same thing, and went over here to the back plate of the driver's side and got 53. So I am off by what I can understand here. My axle is off by about 3/4 of an inch, which I'm pretty sure is due to the spacer lift we did with Icon. So this needs to be done because, yeah, we are off, like I said, by 3/4 of an inch. Well, we've got the Bronco jacked up, and I'm doing it as safely as possible. I've got 2 jacks on that side, just in case. I've got another jack over here, plus my Harbor Freight 3-ton jack holding up the Bronco as well. So doing it as safely as possible because just don't want something happening. But now what I need to do is I need to get the track bar off, and it's actually pretty simple. We're only going to need really 2 tools to get this off. We're going to need a 24mm socket, and then I'm going to use an adjustable wrench for the bolt, and should come out. So hopefully we'll get this done quickly and show you how it goes. So for the driver's side, you don't really need the wrench. It's got some kind of anti-slip bolt, I guess, head on this by what the instructions say. So that one came off pretty well, and I actually was just using my small impact on this one. So the other one, though, you got to be careful because the bolt kind of comes out underneath the axle, and they talk about may needing to lift your vehicle. Well, obviously ours is lifted. I won't have a problem getting this bolt out on the driver's side. They do say careful of the wiring harness too, because you do have like your ABS wiring harness and all that on top of the axle on the driver's side, and you've got, you know, some wires on the passenger side as well. So you just want to be careful of those when you're taking this off. So it also appears that on the passenger side, the bolt head is sticking towards the back of the Bronco, and on the other side where the nut is at, it's actually got a retainer on it, so you can't even get a wrench on it. So it must be part of that, you know, anti-slip or whatever you want to call it, for the bolts. So should just need an impact or a wrench to turn off the bolt then. Woohoo! Well, you can just see there, I went woohoo because the whole axle just shifted really hard to the right, and my measurement showed that we were about 3/4 of an inch off. So that may have just spot itself out just to put it back into position. So now what I'm going to do is I'll take the track bar, the OEM track bar, and clock it with the new track bar from Steer Smart, and we'll use our bolts, make sure we pin it so we get about almost identical match. So let me get this off and we'll get over there with that Steer Smart's Yeti XD. Well, I took my 2 bolts, put them through the OEM, and then went through the Yeti XD and just turned that to where it was letting out on this side and obviously on that side. But I'm pretty sure once we get this on there, we're still going to need to make some adjustments because we were obviously a little short. So I may measure it here and then turn it another 3/4 of an inch so we can try to alleviate the tension that was obviously on it. All right, so we've got it all put together. As you can see, I've actually clamped these down just to make it easier so the ends aren't flopping around, because it's pretty much where the OEM track bar is set. Now, you want to make sure that the bend goes towards the back, because the reason is they want to give you a lot of clearance from all of your differential in that, but also this fits the Ultimate Dana 60. So if you ever want to upgrade your rear axle, you don't have to get a new rear track bar. This one will work with it, but you want it away from it just to kind of clearance everything, give yourself plenty of room. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the axle side. We're going to pin that one in, get it somewhat cinched down, probably not all the way, and then get the body side or frame side up in there. And then I'm going to take some measurements, see where we stand, and then go from there. All right, and we've got it installed, and I still got to take a couple measurements, but I wanted to show you what it looks like, you know, before we get everything kind of buttoned up here. But still need to take a couple measurements and basically let the chassis kind of do its thing. So I did extend it, which was super easy just by turning the little black sleeve that they have on it. You know, it moves away from this side, closer, you know, basically pushes everything out or in, depending on which way you're turning it, because that one is the reverse. So lefty tighty, righty loosey, and righty tighty, lefty loosey for that side. So it's really kind of cool. There's other companies that are doing something similar, just not, I don't think with this sleeve in the middle. I think that's definitely different than others I've seen. So maybe it's a little bit easier. I don't know, but we'll let you decide. But so far, pretty easy install. Let me take my measurements, make sure we've got it centered up. Well, I am a sweaty mess, but finally got all my measurements taken. Had to use some Gorilla Tape because my wife's inside bathing the kids. So I didn't have anybody else to hold the tape measure, so I just taped it to the back side, the dust shield on my rotors, taped it to the same spot on both sides, and went to the same area of the frame on both sides, and got 53.5 on both measurements. So I'm saying it's centered at this point. I'm going to bolt everything down, and the bolts and nuts on your ends are 159 foot-pounds of torque is what you need to put those at. And then the little ones for the sleeve on the center, I believe are 45 foot-pounds of torque. So we're going to torque those down. You do need to check those after at least 100 miles of driving just to make sure. And they do recommend taking this to an alignment shop just to make sure everything is correct. I'm going to call it good. Since I was 3/4 out to begin with, this is going to be an improvement over what I had. And then I'm going to go out and drive it. We're going to see what it feels like. So here we go. Let me get this cinched up. We'll take it out for a drive once I get the tires put back on. Well, we are finally calling it for the night. You can see that it's dark outside already. Wife came out and we were looking at the Bronco after I got everything buttoned up, everything torqued down, and the passenger side was sticking way out beyond the fender flare. So went back to it. So here's a tip for you. When you're installing the Steer Smart rear track bar for the Bronco, if you rotate the top of the sleeve back towards the front of the vehicle, you're actually pulling in the driver side. So that pushes out the passenger side. Now, if you rotate it towards the cargo side, so if you're rotating it back towards the back of the vehicle, that is pushing out the driver and pulling in the passenger side rear wheel. So just something to note when you're doing it. Hopefully it'll make it quicker for you when you do it, but it's a really robust unit. I'm glad I put all that anti-seize on there. It made it a lot easier to rotate that thing. And once you get it to a certain point, you really have to, I'd put on a pair of gloves to really rotate it because I was just getting sweaty. So just something to note. But we'll get it out in the morning, give you our final thoughts about it. The installation really wasn't hard to put it on, but just tweaking it and making sure once you put weight on it, how it all sits. So see you in the morning. Well, good morning, everyone. We are out in the Bronco this morning. It is a gorgeous day. We've got some errands to run, so it'll help us get a few miles on the Bronco with the new Steer Smart's rear track bar. Like I said in the video, we were up late last night trying to get it pretty centered up, and I was doing measurements off the frame to the rear of the rotor, the dust shield for that, and I thought I had it spot on. Then we put it down, and the passenger side was kicked way out. I mean, it was, the tire was sticking out that far from the fender flares on our Sasquatch package. So we knew that wasn't right, so we lifted it up. And a quick tip, if you lift it by the receiver You're able to get both tires up and just get in there and adjust it real quick. And we end up going really far to the driver's side. Like I was saying, we went probably almost 3/4 of an inch past to make it, once it set on the ground, it would even itself out. It seemed like once I started putting weight on it, it was kind of shifting towards the passenger side. So it was fun to do. It wasn't that hard, especially if I would have lifted from the receiver, or they have that cross member that is your last cross member on your frame behind the bumper. That would have been a lot easier just using the jack to do that and get it off the ground. But you do need a high lift jack. You need something. Our Badlands was almost to its full extension to lift both rear tires off the ground. So just note that. But yeah, we're gonna drive here a little bit and we'll give you our final thoughts. Well, we just picked up Monk and now we're off to do some errands. And in Illinois, our roads are not great. We've got lots of little spots in them. We've got potholes. We've got parts that have just kind of pushed up and out, so they get kind of bumpy. And right off the bat, it does feel a little bit smoother. I think with the axle being centered more, I think also that with ours being 3/4 of an inch out, the adjustability is amazing right off the bat, that you don't have it looking awkward from the back. But it really feels like it's keeping the rear end planted a little bit better, especially over the little problem areas in the roads. And even Addie noticed it right off the bat. You know, I asked her, is it just because it's a new part on the Bronco? But we're getting ready to go over some railroad tracks here that we've been over lots of times, and I'm interested to see what it feels like. The only reason we came this way was to see what this felt like. So here they come. Yeah, that was a railroad tracks, and that's Riley in the back. So yeah, that used to be, you'd get a lot more rear end deflection, like it would really kind of move around back there. That actually stayed pretty straight and true. Did obviously get a little bit of bump because your tires are probably leaving the ground a little bit. But you know what? If you've done a lift, and this lift is good, or this rear track bar is good on lifts from stock all the way to 6.5 inches, which I don't know too many others out there. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but that go up to a 6.5 inch lift. If you've done a lift especially, you need to recenter that axle to make sure everything stays in line and with good geometry. Well, we are headed to a spot where we know there's some dirt roads in that back here, so we just want to get a full feel of what our rear track bar from Steer Smarts is able to do, and maybe even smooth out our ride. So far in pavement, it's been great. We've definitely noticed some improvements. So yeah. Yeah, good dirt roads here, gravel and all that, and definitely bumpy. And it actually feels really stable. Probably better than we've ever been down that dirt road before. We've been down this one quite a few times. And this is our favorite little spot, the tunnel. Which takes us through here underneath I-74. So a little bit of water, but we will go through that again. And it is, like Riley's saying, slippery. Yeah, we did slip, didn't we? Yeah. We did slip. Yep. All right, back through. go back down that dirt road again. Little section of it anyway. Get up to speed here a little bit more. Yeah, we are really, yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Definitely better than the OEM track bar did. So, but then again, we're not centered on that either. So an adjustable track bar is definitely a great option. So let's get back to the house and let's wrap this thing up. Well, after driving it around, we probably put close to 100 miles on it just running errands. And right away, Monk did feel something. She felt like the ride was smoother. And I also felt like going over railroad tracks, the back end didn't bounce around as much. From left to right, it actually stayed pretty well underneath the Bronco. And then even like the little upheaves that we get here in Illinois in the roads, some of those can be pretty bad to where the Bronco will jump around, especially the back end. And actually had really good smooth driving over a lot of them. And then we took it out onto some gravel roads in the kind of back country of our area, and you know, at about 25-30 miles an hour kind of going over that, felt pretty good. It felt really solid. Actually felt a little bit different than what we had with our OEM track bar. So I would say if you are going to do a lift, you need an adjustable track bar. And I would totally recommend this one from Steer Smarts, just because it's super beefy. It's easy to adjust, especially using the tips that we were giving, you know, halfway through the installation of it, reminding everybody which way you turn it to get the driver's side to go in or out, or passenger side in or out. But it was an easy install, especially when you lift off the hitch. Pushing this up made it so much easier. I'd take the tires off to make sure everybody could see really well. You don't have to do that. If you have the receiver here, just lift up from here. Both tires, get them off the ground, especially if you've got a jack that'll do that. Get them off the ground and replace it that way. But yeah, super easy. What did you think about it, Monk? Because she wasn't here for the install, and I was sweating like crazy because it's really humid here in Illinois. What did you think about the ride?
I thought it was really smooth. Normally going over all those bumps, like you said, it's very noticeable and you can feel it more in the back, but I felt like it was a lot smoother going over them.
Yeah, so again, if you're looking to upgrade your track bar, look to Steer Smarts. This Yeti XD is super nice, super easy to install, and if you don't have a lift, I think it's a great upgrade just because down the road you can upgrade and you don't have to buy another track bar. So at the end of the day, I think it's a good option for anybody out there. So we thank Steer Smarts for sending it to us and letting us try it out. Hopefully this video will be informative to how to install it and if it's something that you're interested in. So as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button, because Monk and I, we're constantly finding tips, we're finding tricks, and we're definitely finding a lot of products that we put on our Bronco that you can put on yours. So as always, have a blessed day.
Bye.